Marine Reacts to Helsreach, Part 12, by Richard Boylan. As always, I'm going to be leaving a link to the original video channel down in the description below, so go ahead and make sure that you check them out. Alright, so real quick, this video is going to be coming out tomorrow morning Pacific Standard Time at around 7 a.m. And then SCP-342 is going to be coming out later on in the day, about midday-ish. So, besides that though, a little recap on Part 11 from what we saw. We saw that the Prince of Majoris almost died. I found out that the Titan itself has a soul or spirit, and it tries to take over the Princip, and then that's how she was practically almost dead until obviously Grimaldus kind of hyped her up to come back. And we also saw that they ended up losing Kador about a little over a month in, and we saw that the Nero, the Apothecarian, was pretty distraught about it, and there's quite a bit of friction going on between him and Grimaldus, especially when they were on the ship. I have seen that he's supposed to be more the kind of younger one of the group, and yes, thank you to Blackie Cat. I had a couple of the people also really differentiate the different Marines that are present here, just because I kept on getting confused. But this was the first one that I saw. So Arturian is the one who carries the banner, which I'm pretty sure I confused him quite a few times as well. Bassalon is the one who's a sergeant who's got like that little beak on the helmet or face mask thing. Nero is the Apothecarian. The Primus being the one who's the Blade Master, the one that was put unconscious, or not unconscious, but was stunned by that one orc. And the Jerusian is the one that's the actual Tech Marine. I kept on getting him and Nero mixed up. And apparently he's still at Oberon, as far as I know, still trying to get that open. And that Kador, obviously, is the one who died. And then you have Grimaldus. So I have something to reference now, as far as according to names. And then we also saw real quick that Grimaldus had ended up saving the pilot, which I found out from people were saying in some of the comments that the pilot actually hates Grimaldus for doing that, because now he's damaged to the point where he can't even really do anything. That's why he was attached to the actual ship itself. And then lastly, before we get into it, we saw the salamanders that are incoming. So very excited to see kind of what they do here in part 12. So that was too much more time. Let's go ahead and get into the actual video. But before we do, don't forget to like, subscribe. It really does help me a lot. Hit that notification bar right there. So you get notified every time I do upload. Sometimes I upload twice a day. Now I'm working on them whenever I can, and then releasing them early the next morning. That way when you all wake up, you're at fresh new video first thing in the morning. I think I messed it up, but oh well, we're going with it. So without further ado, let's go ahead and see what Helsreach Part 12 has in store for us. Alright, so real quick, you can see there that they're trying to keep the civilians hidden, and this kind of gave me that World War II vibe, or I believe it was from World War II. My history is kind of iffy. That in Britain, they had people actually in subway tunnels, from what I believe, and there's that one famous picture. I'll try to see if I can find it to post it here. You got people with smiles, right, during wartime, so it's kind of just reminded me of that instance. Alright, and also real quick, that was the Tarion. I'm going to have the little list here so I can remember to differentiate them. So it looks like they're really, really pushed back right now, and that they're literally just on the other side of that, it looks like it was just the door wall, but it looked like it was coming from up. So it looks like it, you know what, in any case, let's just say that they're really close to getting to the actual civilians, the orcs. So things are pretty dire right now, so.
losing this road. We are but 6 against a legion. 5. Cato is dead. Forgive me, brother. A moment's lack of focus. Get up!
Fuck, man. Okay, so they're taking a lot of damage right now. It's kind of not giving me really good vibes as to... I mean, I'm pretty sure they could take quite a bit of damage, but... it's getting me kind of worried. I mean, at this point, you know, it'd be really heartbreaking to see any more of them die. And we saw Arturion take that. It looks like a piker spear to the thigh. We just saw right now that Nero took an axe. Looks like an axe to the gut. I like. I can almost feel the salamanders coming in at the last minute.
Not coming out. In the name of the Emperor, stand and fight, or we all die. Hello, recluse.
Andre, my man. I know I just cut him off right there, but whew, I don't know. This guy hasn't even said too much, but I'm already behind him as a character.
Helsreach. You have the thanks of the Black Templars, Stormtrooper. It was good timing, I think. What is your name? Trooper Andre, 703rd Steel Legion Stormtrooper Division, sir. It is good to see you on the field. Courage such as yours belongs at the vanguard. Thank you, Reclusiac. I will remember your names and deeds this day. All of you. Helsreach may burn, but this war is not lost. I am very honored, Reclusiac, as are these handsome and fine gentlemen with me. But if you could tell my captain about this, I would be even happier. It will be done, Trooper Andre. You have my word. I am hopeful this will also impress the lady I intend to marry.
You're talking too much, bro. Just take it and let it go. Oh, God, I feel like he's going to make Grimaldus pissed.
Yes. Good. What's that? It can't be what it looks like. It is. Yeah. What are they? Drop pods. Astartes drop pods.
Okay, I'm still unsure on how exactly they're landing, because when I saw the Black Templars landed, it looks like they were just kind of standing in there. So imagine that impact as soon as you hit the ground. Now, I'm sure that they can take a certain amount of actual force, or maybe, because I don't see anything underneath it slowing it down. And I also mentioned this in the part 3 gameplay of the Space Marine game, that I'm curious as to how high they can go from a high elevation to a low elevation without the use of like a jump pack, a pod, just like them and their armor.
I am honored to fight at your side, Reclusiac Grimaldus. The Templars are in your debt, but tell me, brother, why have you come?
We were the last of the salamanders in orbit. The Lord of the Fireborn called us to him, and we obeyed.
Master Tushan, may the Emperor continue to favor him, fights far from here, brother. The salamanders bleed the enemy many leagues to the east, and the Hemlock River runs black with alien blood.
The salamanders were not blind to your plight, honored Reclusiac. My lord and master heard of the assured civilian devastation in the fall of the city's coastal districts. We are the 70 warriors chosen to make planetfall here, and stand with you until the docks are held.
And then you will leave.
Oh, so they're not planning to be there for the long run, kind of just from what you just said. And also some of the comments that people were saying that the orcs had landed in the Arctic of this planet, and that they ended up building submarines. And I think they said it was mentioned in a book, but it wasn't mentioned here, which is why. And then I remember that having to deal with the docks, kind of like you mentioned right now. And it seems like they're just there to help for that specific reason, and then that they're going to leave, which... Now, it seems like Grimaud is probably going to have something to say about that, because I'm assuming that he thought that they were going to be there until the end, until they got rid of all the orcs. I could just be over-speculating, though.
And then we will leave. Our fight is along the banks of the Hemlock. Our glory is there. This city, it smells like home.
The most honorable Legio Invigilata has been petitioned by outside forces to leave the city. She will stay. She swore to fight. As I understand it, the Imperial advances along the length of the Hemlock River are grinding to a halt. The settlements there, protected by the Salamanders and regiments of the Cadian Shock, are now considered a higher priority than the city. This is from the old man himself. It came over the Vox an hour ago. I do not care. Our mandate is to defend Helsreach. Our mandate, yes. But Princeps Zaha's mandate was to deploy where she desired. She will not leave. She is here until the end. Oh, enough, please, Reclusiac. Storm Herald is embattled 7 kilometers down the Hell's Highway with an enemy scrap Titan battalion in the Rostoric Ironworks. She has given no further word of her decision. What of the, weapon, Reclusiac? A fool's hope.
Wait, so it's been a month, but they ended up saying 36 days in part 11. 36 days plus an extra week right now. Although I had to take into account the time in between from part 11 to part 12, because they kind of started here in the middle of the battle. So at least about a month and a half. At least. Maybe a month and a half to 2 months. That it seems like he's been down there trying to work and getting that open.
None of us had much hope pinned on the Ordinatus. It was the longest of long shots, any way you slice it. is nothing to like in them. They wage war to defend, to preserve. Everything in their way is devoted to maintaining what humanity already has. I mean no offense to them as warriors, but drop-podding into the city purely to defend civilians? Madness! Bastard, please, you know I am right. I know you are treading on unstable ground. Do not besmirch the honor of our brother chapter. The Salamanders shed as much blood as we did this week. That is not the point. That is where you and I disagree, brother. But you are young. You will learn. Do not patronize me, old man. I'm not that old. Do not laugh at me. Stop making me laugh. What?
It's nice to see a little banter between them. I mean, it really goes to show at least like how close they really are. But as he said, dropping into a city to defend people, but let me know down in the comments below, what do you all think about as far as the Salamanders and the Black Templars, different points of views on how to handle the situation. It was pretty understandable that they were going to probably disagree, considering their backgrounds on a lot of things. It's just one of the things that happens, that even though they're technically on the same side, differing viewpoints, different, just the way they operate, it can cause some friction. I mean, for example, it could be like a Marine squad trying to work with the squad from the Army. You know, same teams, but depending on their SOPs, etc., and all that, just their background could cause a lot of friction.
Two chapters fight the same. What two chapters wage war according to the same principles? We are all born of different worlds and trained by different masters. Accept the differences and stand with them as allies. Sergeant Fereth, the people of Helsreach and Armageddon offer their thanks to you and your brothers for the assistance. You'll quit the city today?
The Lord of the Fireborn calls.
Quite so, quite so. I offer my personal thanks. Without your arrival, many more would have lost their lives.
You are fighting with ferocity unmatched, Steel Legionnaire. It was an honor to fight at your side on the streets of your city.
The honor was ours, Fereth. Hunt well in the wastelands, and give my thanks to your lord.
Alright, so, I mean, two things. I don't know why I did this a couple seconds ago. I had an itch in my beard. In any case, I really thought the Salamanders were going to be staying there for a little bit longer, but I do understand their fight is elsewhere at the Hemlock. So, I don't know. I mean, just something that kind of threw me off, because I thought they were going to stay there for a while.
What do you want, Salamander?
To speak, if you are willing, Reclusiac.
I would be honored, I tell him. But this is a lie.
My brothers and I came to this city without the illuminating guidance of our chaplain. We would offer reverent thanks if you would lead us in prayer before we quit the city and rejoin our chapter by the shores of the Hemlock.
I know little of your chapter's cult and creed, Salamander.
We know this, Reclusiac. Still, we would offer sincere thanks.
Think of the battle last night. There was one moment in the chaos that still preys upon my mind. It casts a shadow over us now, like an enemy's spear threatening to fall.
What aspect of the battle troubles you, Reclusiac?
A fine question. Where are the Salamanders? They're holding. They're what? Follow us, in the name of the throne!
Fall back! Fall back to the eastern platform and be ready to engage the second wave.
Advance! If we strike now, there will be no second wave. We're at the warlord's throat. He's getting away! Fall back! Sir! No! Fall back! This is not worth dying over. We do not have the numbers to spill the warlord's blood now.
Okay, that was interesting. Because I was curious to know why Primus had gotten mad that they would want to be there to protect people, right? But now, it really is on how you look at it, or what terms are they going to be defending them. Like, for example, the Black Templars, they see an opportunity that could be very beneficial, but they don't have the numbers. Now, if they had the Salamanders, even though we saw here that Salamanders don't want to take the risk that they're willing to take, and I believe it was that taking out a warlord, and that if they did that there wouldn't be a second wave. Possibly very risky, but it could have a really big payout. Now, you can also see the Salamander's point of view is that they're not going to try to push the enemy, they're going to let the enemy come to them, so kind of more defensive. Now, this could be very one of those, a good offense is a good defense, or a good defense is a good offense. Just kind of really also goes back to their background and kind of what each chapter is about in terms of how they came up and just the way they do things. But if you're not taking any risks, it can have obviously a good and negative effect. Negative, in this case, it seems like the battle could draw out a lot longer, and if it draws out really long, the Salamanders are only going to be there for a certain amount of time, and then they're going to leave, right? So, if they do take a risk, obviously that has its own negative aspect, but it has the possibility of a better payout as far as long term. Now, I can definitely see both sides. I'm not really sure at this point in time who I think, not who is right necessarily, but who had a more better idea or mindset or game plan, I guess, let's say, for the long run. Because granted, the Black Templars are going to be there a lot longer. Salamanders are only there for a short amount of time. So let me also know down in the comments below, who do you think had the right game plan as far as this scenario here?
I see. You consider this a stain on your personal honor?
No, brother. I consider it a waste of time, ammunition, and life. 2 of your own squad were killed in the successive waves that followed. If we had pursued in unity, we could have broken through to the enemy leader and taken his head.
It is tactically unsound, Reclusiac. Pursuit would have left the shelter undefended and vulnerable to regrouping waves attacking from other sectors. 3,000 lives were saved by our defiance last night.
There were no attacks from other sectors.
There may have been, had we pursued.
It's also one of those things that you never know what's going to happen. You just kind of got to make a choice, specifically back in training, specifically IIT, over in Camp Pendleton when we were trained there. There'd be a lot of instances where, especially for when we're doing mount in the indoor area, there's like an indoor and outdoor area, and you might think that you kind of know what's going on or what to expect, but as soon as like those little sim rounds start popping off and you're seeing people get hit, it's really, I mean, and that's just a training environment, but you really start to like panic, and you got to make a decision. You can't just stay there and stay still and freeze. And both sides made a decision that they thought was going to be the best idea. In this case scenario, after hearing this, it seems like Grimaldus had the better idea, in my opinion. I mean, obviously you can disagree with me. But I mean, if you do, really do let me know down in the comments, because this is one of those instances where you don't know what the outcome is going to be unless you do something. And it seems like right here, Grimaldus probably had the better idea.
I am finished with this debate, Salamander.
It grieves me to hear you speak this way, Reclusiac.
Get out of my city.
ahead and talk about that for a minute. A lot of things happened. Mainly, what I want to talk about was tactics, because I said this a bunch of times and I kind of beat it to a dead horse, or whatever that saying is, but what risks are you going to take? What decision are you going to make? Now, whatever decision you did make, Grimaldus, I understand he was kind of forced into a situation where he couldn't push to take out the warlord because of the number issue, and then he had to fall back. So, I mean, at that point, and he's obviously not dumb enough to go die and invade, right? And then when they fell back, I believe it said there was 2 squads of the Salamanders that got taken out. Again, I can see it from both sides. I can see the reasoning, but the way things played out, I don't think that the Salamanders were in the right, or at least the most logical. God, I don't even know how to say it. I'm gonna just say it again. Game plan. Didn't have the basic game plan. So honestly, and that's kind of the thing. You never know what's gonna happen, and you just gotta, from whatever does happen, learn to adapt to that situation. Again, back how I was talking about IAT training. Specifically, I remember one time I was the second in the squad, and we're going through an indoor mount town. We're taking shots from the kind of the front and off to the side. Now, the person in front of me, he was a buddy of mine, and I'm pretty sure he's subscribed, so he might watch this. So I'm not gonna say your name, so don't worry about that. We start getting shot at. He immediately, I mean, what's the first thing you do, right? Initial instincts, you duck, kind of. You want to try to get lower to the ground. Now, and I just hear him just start saying, "Get back, get back, get back." Now, granted, we're all in a squad, right? So we got like about, I think, it's supposed to be 13, but we had 8 or 9, because I mean, sometimes you just don't have the numbers for a full squad. Now, we're going out, and as soon as he starts telling us to come back, my first instinct was RTR, right? Return fire, take cover, return accurate fire. But then also, since we're in a mountain environment, it's a little more tricky just because you're really closed in with each other. And now, when he's trying to push back, we're all getting bunched up. But then me and the person behind me start pushing forward a little bit. We start shooting just in any kind of direction that we thought it was coming from. And which all I knew was it was in front of us, but I wasn't sure where. And the only thing that was really there was like 2 little houses that were to the right. So I assumed it was coming through there, right? I made a decision, or I made an assumption as to what I thought was going on. So, and then as soon as we start going, there's like this little staircase, and then it branches out, and you got 2 little houses. So I start going, but now we have people following our little train, and then we have 2 people immediately go to each side. We go inside the little rooms. Turns out we had one dude inside the house that I was going into. As soon as we made entry, took him out, did our dead checks, and it's just kind of one of those things. I mean, I won't lie, I kind of panicked as well, but as soon as you start going, you kind of just start, I guess you want to say, go with the flow, right? And the whole slow is fast, smooth is sexy. But yeah, it's just one of those scenarios where you made a decision. One person made a decision, try to fall back. The other one, and I'm not trying to hype myself up, but I decided go forward, because if we just start trying to go back, we're blocking up and we're congesting everybody. And obviously the dude's going to end up shooting you in the back, especially if you're the guy in the front. So that was just one big thing in terms of, again, it just comes back to decisions. I know I've said that a lot already. I'm curious to see whether or not Jerusian is actually going to get that. I mean, I'm pretty sure he's going to get it open in the last part 13. I don't even know what it's supposed to look like. I know it's supposed to be a cannon, but I mean, I don't even know what it's gonna be. I mean, people said I was kind of right by thinking it was a ship, but in any case, I'm pretty sure that's gonna come out in the 13th. I don't think we're gonna see the salamanders anymore. Obviously, I do hope that salamanders we're gonna make a more of a bigger impact in terms of staying there and just kind of continuously see a little bit of friction between them and the Black Templars, because obviously, it's not that they don't respect each other. It's just that they have different ideologies. So, if you made it this far, here's a little snippet. It's funny because I saw 3 of you already mention about like the hot Cheetos and some of the other things. So if you haven't seen this section, it's just a little section. I might give like a little update on, say, like a video that might be coming, and just one little thing about me in general. So as far as a video goes, don't worry, I have seen lots of people mentioning the TTS, or the Emperor had a text to message thing. Text to speech. You know what I mean? TTS. Yes, I'm gonna see those. I understand that there's a lot of knowledge you kind of gotta know to understand, because I heard it's supposed to be funny and it's supposed to be like meme-ish. I'm just gonna go ahead and take a dive into it after the Helsreach. So after part 13, I'm gonna watch it, and I mean, if you want, you can spam it in the comments as well, because I'm pretty sure it's gonna be funny, because people are gonna be like, "How'd you know he didn't say anything?" I'm like, "Well, he said it at the end, the little snippet." But as far as something about me personally, I don't care who this pisses off, but I like pineapple on Hawaiian pizza. Doesn't matter what you think, because I'm the one eating it. But, and also real quick, if some of y'all have any comments about what you would want me to answer, because sometimes when you actually try to think of like something about yourself, you kind of draw a blank. But then if someone asks you a question, then that kind of gives you an idea on what's something that might pop up into your head that you've done in the past, or like it's just kind of you are as a person. So feel free to comment a question and I'll answer them here. I mean, I thought the most max I would do is probably about maybe 3 in one video, just to put a number on it. So yeah, that's gonna go ahead and do it for this video. Don't forget to like, subscribe, really does help me out a lot. Hit that dislike button if you don't like it. It helps me improve the channel. If you're curious to see what's coming up next, check the description down below. You can see a list of about 5. Top to bottom is gonna be how I view them. But until then, I'll see you all in the next video. Bye.